I think the future of OTT is going to be a really exciting place for the industry. I think one of the issues is for customers it's becoming a confusing space, and so it's important that everyone in the industry really focuses on delivering great simple products to customers, and ultimately understands that there's only so much work that customers are going to do to actually create their own bundles. There's a certain amount of subscriptions that people will be willing to pay for, and I think that there's already really exciting SVOD services out there, like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu that have really captivated consumer interest, and then there's a range of niche SVOD services as well. But the free ad-supported opportunity, which is what we're focused on, is really exciting. It's been overlooked for a very long period of time, and now it's finally having a moment. People are really recognizing that free ad-supported streaming TV is going to be a big part of how people actually consume content in OTT. I think that's particularly true given that there's a limit to the number of subscriptions that people will actually pay for. Ampere Research last summer said that the average American OTT household pays for 2.8 subscription services. So that's typically Netflix, it's Amazon Prime or maybe Hulu, and then there's everyone else fighting for that 0.8. And so why we think free is such an interesting category is that you can give people a lot of great content, in our case over 100 channels and thousands of TV shows and movies on demand that can allow them to expand their streaming bundle that they're creating themselves. But it's definitely a case where customers are going to want to gravitate to a handful of the biggest one-stop shop aggregators, because cobbling together too many services is not the way in which customers find convenience. Well, I mean, I would never rule anything out. Certainly we see the free ad-supported opportunity as a massive global opportunity. I mean, if you look at how television's been funded over the decades, a huge portion of all of the greatest TV shows and, sort of hits have been funded through advertising revenue over the years. There's no reason to believe that that won't continue as television moves increasingly to the internet. But for Netflix, they've made quite a sort of like a public positioning that advertising is not sort of what customers want, and that they want to watch things on demand without ads. So while I wouldn't rule anything out given the size of the market opportunity, I think for Netflix they'd need to sort of consider very carefully how they introduce an ad-supported product, given their historical positioning of being sort of an ad-free platform. Apple has hundreds of millions, I don't know the exact number, but a huge customer base of rabid fans who are very loyal to the brand. I would never underestimate anything that Apple does. If you look at what they did in the streaming music space, they launched very late with their streaming music product, many years after Spotify, and I think it was just reported a few days ago that they've exceeded Spotify's US subscriber base, and so leveraging all of their customers, all of their resources, all of their devices and the promotion that they can give to those devices, as well as that sort of iconic brand that customers love, are all things that they really can bring to bear to launch any product. Well, I think every media company today needs to have a really well thought out digital strategy of how they play in OTT, and the way in which they play in OTT needs to play to their strengths as a company. If it's a free broadcast channel company, at least in this country, and I don't know Latin American broadcast channels as well, but in this country, free over-the-air broadcast channels have a competency and a strength in local news, for example. And I think bringing things like that to OTT is an advantage that companies like that could really leverage.